Recently I watched a travel video for Norway and it was absolutely breathtaking, a stunning country, and it seems like there's a lot to do there as well, a lot of places to explore. And I wanted to look a bit more into the travel in Norway, and this is 11 things not to do in Norway, must see before you go. So for people that want to go to Norway, and I would love to one day, this is the things you shouldn't do. If you're from Norway, tell me if you agree with these. Tell me if there's anything else you think people should not do that they might do when they come to your country. Yeah, let's watch this so we can learn. This is a beautiful building as well. One of the most beautiful in the world in my opinion. Love the architecture and this engineering on this road.
Norway
So
is
nice.
known throughout the world for its progressive culture, its beautiful landscapes, and really just one of the most stunning places you can visit.
Okay, those two places I've not seen on any other videos. What is this? Look at that. I've not seen this sort of walkway thing. That is so like minimalist, but again breathtaking. The view, even just the architecture of this, I really like it. And this one as well. A really interesting bridge. I've not seen something like that with the two entrances, but the location, everything about it is great. If you're from Norway, tell me if you know these places. Tell me if you've been to them. I can only imagine actually being there in person would just be like a dream, really.
Stunning places you can visit. Now that being said, there are a number of really surprising and interesting things culturally that are unique to Norway. So without further ado, here are 11 things not to do in the country of Norway. Number 1. Don't tip. Now for many people from countries like the US where it's almost required to tip, this may come as a relief. Service fees are always included on the bill. Now that being said, if your service was really exceptional and you do want to thank your waiter, around 10% is a typical tip for this kind
It's
of
very
thing.
similar in Scotland actually. Just shows that people are being paid a proper living wage. Well, that does look good.
Look at this thing. This is what I'm talking about. Number 2, don't bother people. Now I want to preface this by saying that Norwegians are generally friendly. And if you needed to ask a quick questions about directions or where you are, stuff like that, it's more than okay. However, they can be a little shy, so don't try to get yourself into a long, deep conversation. That probably won't fly. Now just to be clear, I'm mainly talking about approaching random people on the street.
I think that makes sense.
Number 3, don't disrespect nature. Now this should go without saying, but it's especially true in Norway because Norway has some of the most beautiful and pristine wildlife in the whole world. And it's important to take care of that. Yeah, that means simple things like picking up your trash, to more important things like staying on the path, especially when you're in glacier, mountain, fjord situations. The signs are there for a reason.
Do you find that is a problem as a Norwegian? Do you find that tourists can sometimes be disrespectful to nature or just in general? I see like in Spain, for instance, at the moment, there's a growing anti-tourism sentiment because of the tourists who go there making a mess, not treating the place with the respect it deserves. Do you ever find any of that sort of issue in Norway, or the people that go to Norway, are they generally like of a sort of higher standard and just more respectful people, do you think?
Number 4, don't wear shoes in the house. Now this is a real quick one, and it's mostly for my
Same
American
here in
friends.
Asia.
I'm sure most of you are screaming about how obvious this is. But as a general rule, you don't want to get the dirt from outside to inside, so most people will take your shoes off at the door. Number 5, dating. Now this will be the most controversial because of course this won't apply to everyone, but I think it speaks to a more general cultural idea that most Norwegians have, and that is gender equality. You know, women are very proud in Norwegian society, and the guy won't always pay if you go out on a date. I'm sure it would be appreciated, but it's kind of like tipping, where it's not required. Number 6, don't disrespect the king. Now Norway is what's known as a constitutional monarchy, which means the king is a mostly ceremonial position. But almost all Norwegians love him, especially because he's the first Norwegian-born prince since Olaf in 1370. Now, that's not to say that there haven't been scandals in the past, but Norwegians are a proud people, and an outsider criticizing the royal family might not come off as well as you think.
That's interesting. Again, being from the UK, having a monarchy, I feel like there's a growing sentiment within the UK where people don't really respect the royal family. I do myself. I'm proud of it. I think it's a great part of our culture. I'm very happy with it, although there has been some scandals as well. But in general, the idea of it, I don't mind. Is it unanimous in Norway that people all just respect the royal family? Has there been any sort of growing sentiment against it? How do you feel about the royal family? What's your own opinion on it? The Norwegian one, that is.
Number 7, drinking. Now, because the Norwegian government has a state monopoly on alcohol, and because of their predominantly Lutheran religious past, alcohol can both be difficult to find and expensive. For example, you can't buy liquor after 5 p.m. on weekdays, 3 p.m. on Saturdays, and all day on Sunday. And the same goes for beer, just 3 hours later than those times. Now, the main reason that the price is so high is because the Norwegian government doesn't distinguish between imported alcohol and domestic alcohol. That means there's a heavy tax on both. Now, you can definitely still find parties in Norway, and many Norwegians go out all the time, but there's less of a focus on the alcohol part of it. Number 8, don't trust Google Maps. Now, this is mostly true during winter, and because of how far north Norway is, the weather can get pretty extreme. That's why they have a concept, summer roads and winter roads. You know, those are roads that are available and easily accessible during summer, but during winter, they're closed off because they're dangerous and there's massive detours that you have to take. Now, Google, of course, doesn't know this, so it may try to make you go a way that's not actually, well, open, leading to your drive being a lot longer than you thought it was. The best way to avoid this is really just to pay attention to the signs and not just follow Google Maps blindly.
Well, this is a first. A Tesla taxi.
Cool. Yeah, tell me if you've ever had a problem with Google Maps as a Norwegian with that.
Number 9, personal
issue.
Space. Now, this one really goes hand in hand with just being respectful on public transportation. You know, not being too loud, taking up too much space, that kind of thing. But if the train or bus is empty, don't go right up and sit next to the only other person there. They'll feel super uncomfortable and weirded out, because personal space is a big deal in Norway.
Yeah, I think I would even feel weird about
almost
that
finished,
as well.
guys, and number 10 is pretty easy, and that is don't assume everyone speaks English. English is widely spoken, especially in urban areas, but it's important to remember this is not an official language, and it's always best to learn a few phrases of Norwegian before you go. So guys, that's about it. Last but 11, make sure you enjoy Norway. You know, all the things I've said so far are more general guidelines rather than strict rules. And Norwegian culture, food, its beautiful nature landscapes, all of that means that you're sure to have a good time when you go.
Cool. Very, very good video. I guess, yeah, a lot of those things are quite interesting. No, even the last one there, like not just expecting people to speak English. I think that's something you should do in every country where English is not the first language. Not just expect people to, just speak, a language that's not their first language. So, for me, it's always good to learn like a few. I try and learn as much as I can, actually, as much of the language as possible, and at least it can be a bit more respectful to that country and to the people of that country as well. And it's good for your own brain to just learn some new things as well. And yeah, tell me what you think about these as a Norwegian. Do all these apply? Is there anything else you think people should not do if they come to Norway? Thanks.